What's your biggest regret from your teenage years? So determined to impress my classmates that I would stretch the truth so I could brag about myself. Now I realize most of them saw through it. If I could only go back, I would slap some duct tape across younger me's mouth. I wish that I had taken mom up on her offer to teach me how to cook during those teenage years. It would have been so helpful, both during college and beyond. It was a missed opportunity because she's a great cook and a natural teacher. All the responsible people on this thread wanted to be more irresponsible, and all the irresponsible people wanted to be more responsible. As a wise woman once said, I wasted all my thin years thinking I was fat. That I didn't spend more time with my parents before losing them. Mom when I was 19. Dad right before I turned 26. Cowardice. I was so unsure of myself and awkward. I know that all teenagers struggle with this. But as I look back now from my 40s, that kid in high school had so much going for him. He just didn't know it. The more he cared about fitting in, the less he fit in. And the worse people treated him. Girls were like an alien species and the future was terrifying. But it didn't have to be. Being mean to my mom. I spent so much time waiting for something to happen. Like sitting on some steps outside of a house waiting for something to happen. Hanging out with people I did not really like waiting for something to happen. I feel like so much time was wasted waiting for something to happen, instead of doing something or making things happen. I wore a fedora to prom. And prior to prom I had asked someone out and took the rejection really badly, said a lot of stupid poop on social media and acted out when asked about it. Also, back when it was a thing to add random people on FB, I used to post all sorts of corny white knight one-liners. I didn't stand up for myself enough. I'm still too worried about how people will react if I say no or refuse to do something. This programming stuff is cool, maybe I'll learn it one day. 10 years later I'm just getting started. Man, if I had 10 years of experience under my belt right now I would be set for life. Cliché, but I lost a lot of friends due to excessive online gaming. I kept refusing to go out with them and socializing in general. Plus when college hit I didn't know how to talk to people and how to make friends. Ongoing process. I wish I had taken more risks. I worried about getting in trouble too much. I missed out on some fun because of that. And tried to play catch up when I was 19. Which led to me going a bit too hard through my 20s. I'm okay now. Successful and doing well. But there's lots of things I did in my 20s that I might not have done had I got it out of my system in my teens. I'm just lucky things turned out okay for me. 31 now. Not becoming more involved in groups activities and not going out on weekends to parties. Caring about what people think of me too much. I spent the entire time basically being who I thought everyone else wanted me to be. When I was 14 I poured ketchup on our back porch and laid down with my head next to it right as my mom came home from work. She came outside screaming and I laughed. She beat me with her shoe and I was grounded for the weekend. Now that I'm a parent I realize what a real PP freaking move it was and the terror she felt. Not keeping up with my friends. It's hard to believe but the last day of high school was the last day I saw most of them. Only in the last few years I found some of them through Facebook, but things are different now. Not applying for every scholarship that was available for college. Still a teen, but I wish I focused less on isolating myself early on in high school and being a loner with a me vs them mentality. I've stunted myself socially and dug myself into a hole. To be fair, a lot of it stemmed from mental health issues and unresolved trauma, but I was also stubborn as hell and waited way too long to seek help and grow past all of it. Not doing more productive stuff. And drinking too much. It was fun. But sometimes it was very unnecessary and could have done lots of stuff with that time. Also more 6. Popping my first pimple. To the point that I can't stop. Blacked out for a second and heard my bird. I felt and still feel so terrible about it. Getting that girl pregnant and becoming a father at 17. Also, the self-harm. Constantly bitching about my problems and not listening to others. Honestly, being more proactive on my education. I could have gotten a scholarship, but I thought getting scholarships were pathetic and was so prideful about it. I didn't know poop back then, but I'm kicking myself now with so much money I put in when I look at my 1098 tons. Tuition forms for the government. Breaking up with the nicest guy halfway through final year of school. I regret breaking up with him in general, but also it ruined what should have been an epic time of our life. Since we had all our friends in common, it just sucked. Lots of awkward behavior at parties. Drunk and yelling. Crying. And that's just what he was doing, never mind me. Being shy and awkward around girls. My sister had cancer and it really affected my relationship with my girlfriend. Sometimes I would just shut down. I really wish I'd handled myself better because she and I were really in love. And I think it was the main contributing factor to us eventually breaking up. I've started playing online games and waste time on YouTube other platforms when I was teenager, and I keep wasting my life there. I want to spend less time with a computer. Do stuff IRL. But I don't know how to get rid of this addiction. Being the secret side piece for the popular guy in high school. I was an outcast and didn't have a lot of friends. He was the star football player and everyone wanted to be him. He was in my algebra class. He asked for my number on a note. I was super naive. He only ever wanted 6. We would either meet up somewhere at night or he'd come to my house when my mother wasn't home. We would quickly do it and then he'd quickly leave. And then he would pretend he didn't know me at school. Worst decision ever. I fell into a massive depression and spent most of my time dwelling on not wanting to be alive. Didn't enjoy those years at all. Would have worked harder on not being so mopey and sad all the time. Not spending enough time with my mum. She passed away when I was 16 and I wish I had done more with her. Not working out. 29 years old and regret not lifting sooner. Seeing school as a joke. Skipping class. Smoking weed. Making fun of the nerds. I got a good job with a decent pay, but sometimes I wonder how my life would look if I had studied more. Not going for the girls I liked. Looking back, I can't believe how many girls I thought were out of my league I ended up having success with once I found my nerve. I'm not a super handsome dude either. I think it's just a matter of confidence. Not choosing the right 4-year high school, meaning you could only apply when you were about to start your freshman year, to apply in. Chewing tobacco. 30 years later and dealing with the fallout. I went too fast to adult. Not trying to get the best grades in school that I was capable of. It was the 60s and 70s. I literally can't remember turning in any homework. I brought sci-fi books to school and read them during class. With the textbook held in front. I half listened to the teacher while doing this. Got B grades in most of my classes. If I'd actually applied myself. Not being more selective about the friends I made. I thought I was a real loser, which I was. But largely because I had that idea in my head to begin with. And I felt I really couldn't be too picky. As a result, I was sort picking from a social slush pile of people who would use me. Were generally emotionally unstable. Or were too wounded to really be a good friend. It turns out, making social connections is work. You can't just be interesting. You have to show people you are. And they want you to show you are interested in them as well. And flaunting how kind and giving you are is a bit pathetic because being kind and generous is a minimum requirement for a friend. I thought I was being shunned. But mostly people were just busy with their own lives and friends and barely knew I existed. Being a teenager. That I worried myself sick over what people thought of me. I was in a constant state of anxiety over it. In reality, I was a pretty and fairly popular girl. But, thanks to my hypercritical mother, I never would have believed that I was anything but hideous. Drinking. I became an alcoholic at an early age. Relished in the thought of it's so cool to be a 17-year-old alcoholic, lost so many jobs. Jail fire-ins. Friends and burned bridges with family. Coming up on 3 years clean now. But damn, if I could go back in time. That is the one thing I would change. I cared too much about what other people thought of me. I didn't learn until much later that it's none of my business. I'm reading this as a teen and going fuck. I wanted to do that. Not walking away from some poopty friends sooner than I did. Being in a long-term relationship. I wish I was single and partied and fricked around. Instead, I wasted my time with my ex and never dated other guys when I was younger. Assuming that just because I was horny that I was emotionally ready for sex. Hanging out with the wrong people. And making my mom's life even more difficult. I regret that one the most. Losing my virginity when I did. I wasn't prepared and it ended up fricking with the rest of my teenage years and still fricks with me. I'm all for it if you're ready. Do it right and it can be a good experience. I lost everything over this guy and it's the biggest regret of my life. Let alone my teenage years. Also not reaching out and being more involved. I look back and wish I had done so much more to be productive and fulfilling during high school especially. Starting drinking. Hurting my ex-GF and not sacrificing my own happiness for the time being to get her as little sadness as possible. I was better equipped to handling it than she was. Edit. Sorry for the confusion. Misspelled the first line. Oh man. I have so many. Allowing my abusive stepmother to isolate me from the other side of my family. Acting like a psycho nice guy to the girl I had a crush on. Staying in an unhealthy relationship for a couple years too long. Hiding on my computer all day instead of being social. Not coming out and transitioning earlier even though I knew I should. My teen years really sucked. And I got so depressed over my parents telling me they were the best years of my life. I'm 30 now and life is 1000x better. Quitting golf. It was my one natural talent that I could have made a living off of. When I was 12. After playing for, maybe? 2 years or so. I already had a single digit handicap and was beating guys that had played for 10 plus years. My teachers had pegged me to be PGA material. I found this out when I ran into one of them a few years after I stopped taking it seriously. He sounded very let down to hear I had stopped. Now when I play I still sort of have it. But I'm nowhere near as good as I was back then. I hit maybe 4-stroke 10 of my shots like I used to. With a lot of swearing in between at the range lol. You live and learn. If you're actually really great at something, stick with it. Otherwise you'll end up looking back wondering what could have been. On a positive note. Makes for a good time at Topgolf when I go with people who don't know I used to play. So many missed signals from so many girls. I probably could have had more fun in high school. Oh well. Not asking out that cute redhead on my senior class. I mean, what did I had to lose? I spent far too many years beating myself up to the brink of suicide over being gay. I wish I could have been a teenager today. Things have changed so much in the last 15 years. Still, I'm glad for those today. Probably my attitude. I should have fostered better relationships and not had a massive chip on my shoulder. Being scared to talk to people even if it was someone I actually did get along with when they talked to me. Hey you. Thanks for watching Reddit stories. If you enjoyed the video, consider hitting like and subscribing. Your support means a lot. We also have a Discord community where we will be running giveaways and fun surprises throughout the year. Come along and meet some new friends. You look great today.